Am I the asshole for ordering veal parm at a restaurant? I live in a city and my parents and sister came to visit for the day and we went out to an Italian restaurant. I was in the mood for veal parm, but when we sat down I was a bit bummed to see it wasn't on the menu. However, they had both chicken parm and several veal dishes, including veal Milanese on the menu. When the waiter came to take our order, I asked if it was possible for the chef to do veal parm. He told me he had to ask the chef, took our drink orders and came back and said yes, the chef can do veal parm. I figured it was an easy swap, because they have veal cutlets to make veal Milanese, and they have chicken parm on the menu, so they could just swap out the chicken cutlet for a veal one. My sister is a waitress herself and she insisted that eat because I essentially asked for a different dish to be created. I argued while I agree it is a different dish, it's not like I asked them to create something completely different from scratch. It's a one-ingredient swap with something they already had on the menu. I said the cutlets are probably already breaded and fried anyway, so what's the difference with swapping a chicken cutlet out with a veal one? And even if they aren't breaded and fried ahead of time, I would have either ordered chicken parm, which would cause them to fry a chicken cutlet, or veal Milanese, so they would fry a veal cutlet anyway. She said the fact that the waiter had to ask the chef if they could meant it was out of ordinary, and I said he was just checking to ask the chef's permission, and they said yes. Had he said no, I would have just ordered something else. They charged us accordingly and we paid. My parents treated us and left a generous tip like we always do. I don't think it's a big deal at all, but she's stuck on her waitress mindset and thinks menu swaps are a no-no. Am I the asshole? I was a line cook for 25 years, 3 at a trattoria. Not the asshole. That swap is about as easy as it could be. If your sister doesn't recognize how easy it often is to swap one protein for another, I doubt she was a very good waitress. Not the asshole. As a former server, I do understand that substitutions aren't the staff's favorite, but within boundaries it's totally normal, and the chef confirmed they can make the dish. If it was a pain in the ass at all, then the chef would have said no. The fact that the waiter had to ask the chef first does not inherently make OP an asshole. That part doesn't even make sense. Also, not to be rude, but I don't see what the opinion of a waitress the sister has to do with anything here. The only person who would be inconvenienced by OP's request was the kitchen. If your sister was a chef with strong opinions about substitutions, that would be one thing, but it seems like she is just complaining about having to enter an order slightly differently than normal. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You asked, staff confirmed it was okay. Perfectly reasonable request, it's not like you demanded anything. Not the asshole. You asked friendly. Waiter could have said no. I personally would only order something off the menu if it is not a busy night though. Working in a kitchen is so stressful, so an extra dish adds some stress. So I do understand where your sister comes from. But they could have said no. This sounds like a question for people on a restaurant sub, because while it seems fine to me, I'd never do it, and would take the word of people in the industry on whether it is bad or not. But I can't be the only one thinking you were wondering if you were an asshole for eating veal. Not the asshole. You asked, the chef agreed. You didn't demand it or ask for something ridiculous. It is literally a single ingredient swap. Does sis get mad if someone asks for a different kind of cheese on a burger? Not the asshole. There is no problem with asking. And if they said no, it seems like you weren't planning to pitch a fit about it. Hope you enjoyed your veal parm. Not the asshole. You didn't make a scene or demand, they obviously had the ingredients and your ask was totally reasonable. It's not like you went to a vegan place and made the ask. If you ask and they say no, you have the answer, but if you don't ask you'll never know. Your sister must not work at an accommodating restaurant if that's her position, or she has no conception that veal parm chicken veal and it is not a different dish to be created. Not the asshole for sure. You asked if they can do the thing, they agreed. I see no point to agree about. I go to one Indian restaurant, and I have my own special meal. It's combined from two, we even gave it its own name, lol, curry sauce from one and filling ingredients from other. I swear this is the tastiest thing I have ever eaten in my life. Not the asshole. While I have seen no substitutions please printed on a few menus, it's either a super fancy place with a prefix menu or else it's a fast food place. Anyone that is called chef needs to be able to do basic substitutions like this. It's not like you asked for a baked Alaska. Not the asshole, your sister's wired way too tight. Not the asshole. It wasn't that bad of a request and the chef didn't think so either. Not the asshole for what you asked, that didn't seem like a major inconvenience for the kitchen by all means. But eating veal? I dunno. I would find that questionable. A simple substitution like that ought to be good for a better tip. Your sister has a weird expectation. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Side note: don't eat veal, it's a tortured baby animal. Not the asshole. Your sister sounds annoying. What you did was perfectly reasonable. You asked politely, and it sounds like you would have taken no for an answer if that was the chef's decision on that. You're the asshole. Order from off the menu. That's literally why there is a menu. Not the asshole. You asked, the restaurant agreed. End of story. Not the asshole. If it was an issue they'd just say no. Not A for the swap but TERTA for eating veal. It's baby cows that are tortured and not allowed to move their whole lives. In general the meat industry is problematic, but veal is downright evil and there is no ethical or humane way to farm veal. Not the asshole. They had the ingredients. It's not like you were asking for something they did not have or know how to make. The chef had the right to say no. You're the asshole. Not because you asked if they could make a different item, but because you ordered veal. Do you know how they get veal? They put baby calves in crates where they can't move around and are fed nothing but milk for months. When they come out of their crates, it's the first time they've walked. And they go straight from the crate onto a truck to be taken to a slaughterhouse. Then they come off the truck and are hit in the forehead by a guy with a ball-peen hammer. That's why I will never order veal again. Phew, I love beef. No, you're an asshole for causing baby cows to be tortured for your pathetic meal. You're an asshole for ordering veal. If it's not crazy busy in the kitchen, cooks enjoy something different. Probably had fun making it. Not the asshole. This is done at any restaurant. You can ask if something is available to be made. I suppose I get where she's coming from, but like a friend always says, don't ask, don't get. There was no harm in asking. If they didn't want to do it, they would have said no. As it is, they said yes. Not the asshole. Out of the 6 people saying you are, half of them gave no reason and half said it was because you were eating veal, which I find hilarious. Not the asshole. BTW. Not the asshole, and you are right, the chef could have said no and it seemed like you would have been fine with ordering something else. I wouldn't say your sister is an R, but I do agree that she was stuck in her waitress mindset. I can't say that I understand because I'm not a waiter waitress myself, but I believe not all restaurants are the same, so it certainly does not hurt to ask for any changes, and the worst thing that could have happened is a simple no. Not the asshole. If the chef said it was okay, then it was. If they couldn't do it, then they would have said. You didn't demand or insist, just asked if it was possible. Possibly the place your sister works has a very firm policy to not make menu changes, but obviously this restaurant was happy to do it. Not the asshole. I used to serve too, and sure, it can be a pain in the ass, but it's really not all that hard, especially if chef is down for it. Not the asshole. Your sister is a waitress, not a chef. She needs to stay in her lane. I assure you, if the chef didn't want to make it, they wouldn't. A swap like this is no big deal. You're the asshole for eating murdered baby cow. Not the asshole at all. Chefs love that if they could not, the chef would not permit them to take the order. And more places need yummy veal parm.